Hey, what's up my dudes? I've got a very special video for you today. This is going to be part 2 of the Meteorite Green Lantern Ring video I posted earlier. And this was a huge project and I'm so excited to be able to share it with you in this video. In total I spent probably over 70 hours making this thing, but I'd say the result is definitely worth it. If you missed part 1, I'll show you a really quick recap of it now, but you can also watch the entire video by clicking the link in the description. So I started out with this meteorite slab and I had a ring blank cut out of it by the water jet channel, and then I sanded the bevels on it and hollowed out the inside of it. The next thing I did was flatten the face of the ring so I'd have a nice surface to use for laying out some of the design features with Sharpie, and that was so I could come up with the best plan of attack for all the steps that I'll be taking in this video, which is part 2. Alright, so the first step we'll be taking in this video will be to level out both sides of the ring, and they need to be parallel so that I can perfectly clamp the ring in my mill vise later on. I'm using a left and right-handed lathe cutter to level out each side. You'll notice that I don't flatten the entire side of the ring, and that's okay. I only need to do a fairly small section of it in order to get a good clamp on the ring. Now I'm going to keep the ring on its mandrel as it is perfectly centered, and then I'm going to mount it on my mill's rotary table. I'll be using this 1/4 inch end mill to flatten the 3 faces of the ring, and then I'll round out the back half of it. All of these steps you'll see me do, by the way, are done by rotating the crossfeed handles or rotating the rotary table's dials, and I'm doing that all just with my hands. So now the ring has its basic shapes, but the angles on the faces are totally off. So I'm copying the left face's angle by cutting along this sticker with a razor. Then I flipped it over to its sticky side, and now I've got a perfect copy of the other angle to trace so that I know that both sides are perfectly even. Next, I need to cut out a Green Lantern logo template from this sticker sheet. I just printed a big range of sizes and then I picked one that was the best fit for the ring. Now I'm going in and very carefully tracing the logo by hand using this mini end mill. I'm doing my best here to evenly follow the lines on the template. Now that that's done, I want to extend the cuts into the logos just so the circle has a bit more definition. And to do that, I'm using a diamond coated cutoff wheel. I picked this cutoff wheel because it's much thinner than most other cutoff wheels that you'd use in a Dremel. This is a step that could ruin the entire ring with one slip of my hand. After using the cutoff wheel, I did a couple of touch-ups off camera, I was using a cone-shaped bit for that, and that just evened out some of the harsh cuts left by the cutoff wheel. Alright, this next step will be a bit tricky, but it will add a really nice look to the ring. So I'll be adding angled grooves to the sides of the rings, and to make the cuts I'll need to rotate my mill vise to match the angle I drew the lines at. And I need to rotate it each time so I can match each of the angled lines on there. And again, I'm using these miniature end mills for it. These are pretty fragile. I actually broke about 6 of these on this step, but I was eventually able to cut through all of those grooves, and now I'm just using a diamond file to smooth out some of the edges, and that'll make the transitions of the grooves to the other shapes on the ring just a little more graceful.
Somebody told me that love wasn't real. What kind of a feeling am I starting to feel when I want you so? Why are you so cold? When I'm around you, I want to let go. Lost in your eyes when we're moving too close, and the love we found got me upside down.
Then I'll use a drill bit to carefully cut a hole out for the emerald I'll be mounting in the ring. This step isn't too difficult, but I did have to use a few different shaped drill bits to make the hole perfectly fit the emerald. And for the final shaping step, I'll be using my belt sander at an angle in order to sand a taper into the ring, and this will make it a lot more comfortable to wear. Several times throughout this step, I stopped and measured my progress, and that was really helpful. It helped me keep things even and then made sure I didn't go too far with any of the sanding. And then off camera, after using the belt sander, I actually used a Dremel, and I did a little bit of fine tuning with that. And then I used a few different grits of sandpaper on the Dremel, and that put a nice smooth finish on the whole ring. And with that, all of the shaping for this ring is finally done and we're ready to etch.
Got me upside down. And I'm gonna be with you for as long as you want.
So for etching, I'm using 1 part muriatic acid and then 1 part hydrogen peroxide. I made sure to flip the ring every 10 to 20 minutes and I let it etch for about an hour in total. Now it was at this point when I was taking it out of the acid, I just had to stop and look at it for like 5 minutes. Up until now, the ring didn't look that great, and after pulling it out of the acid, you can really start to see how this is going to be such an amazing looking ring. That etch just completely transformed this somewhat bland looking ring into just an incredible and really interesting looking ring. Now after very thoroughly drying the ring, I'm applying Protect-A-Clear to it. I did 4 or 5 coats and I covered every single surface of the ring. This will help protect the ring from oxidizing and other damage. And the final step I actually did off camera. All I did was place a dab of E6000 adhesive in the gem hole, and then I pressed the emerald in, making sure it was even all sides. Now the ring is done. I seriously can't tell you guys how good it feels to get this thing finished. It turned out even better than I had hoped, and I made it through the whole process without any major mistakes. And that was a really stressful part about this, because this was my first time attempting a lot of the steps required to make this ring. I actually bought the mill specifically for this ring. But anyways guys, I want to hear what you have to say. So if you like this ring, you can leave a comment. You can also feel free to like the video and subscribe to my channel if you think that you might like some of my other videos. And make sure to follow me on Instagram if you want a more in-depth look at all the rings I make. The link is in the description. And leave a comment on one of my Instagram posts if you actually do end up following me, just because I want to see how many people actually do stay to the end of the video and follow through. That's it for today guys. I'll see you all on Wednesday.